Welcome enquirers, thinkers, questioners. Welcome to the Big Ideas event at 7 Stories with Newcastle University.
Exploring bigger or more abstract issues and topics can be difficult to do, and to use something like a piece of children's literature is a really accessible way to get at some of these bigger topics.
At the start of the project, children's books were like basically simple stories to me. And now I can see they have many different layers.
Crucially, it's also by getting feedback to then input and reflect upon research processes.
Are you ready to start your mission? We are all experts in our own journey. We've got so much to learn from each other. These researchers are so excited to be waiting and ready to learn from you.
My name's Matt. I look at how official statistics are made. Myself and Michael looked at Cock and Bird, which is a story about 2 eggs that hatch into a crocodile and a bird. And because they're next to each other and they've lived all their lives in eggs, they just assume that they're related.
First thing that they did is the crocodile went out hunting and the bird followed him. They would sometimes go up in a tree and sleep in a nest.
They kept doing the stuff that, like, together, that they wouldn't really do.
And so that really brought out one of the things that I engage with in my research, which is about how do you categorise and how do you decide when the category fits and who gets to make that decision.
It's the study of differences but similarities as well.
I was starting to get feedback from them, and it was ideas that I hadn't introduced at all, but it was just about how do we know that the statistic works. It was absolutely brilliant. They go off hunting and they find a lagoon, and in the lagoon there are lots of crocodiles, and in the trees there are lots of birds.
And then they realised that they weren't brothers and they were different.
I'm Kathleen, and I'm from the Institute of Neuroscience, and my research is about 3D vision.
Our research was to help people whose eyesight aren't as good as other people's, like to make it get better.
She started by reading part of a story about this child who was really curious about everything.
And what I very much liked about this book is that it's kind of what I do as a researcher.
This child found this case with loads of objects in.
And one of them is a 3D viewer, and of course that made me immediately think about my research, which is about 3D vision. So I basically copied that idea from the book, and I thought, why not bring my own suitcase with my own objects, which will be research objects.
Molecular structures would break.
Well, all the objects had something to do with three-dimensional.
With our team, we are developing a 3D game on a tablet.
She showed us the game on the iPads. It helps people who have squint or lazy eye.
I was surprised by how much these children know and how open they are to different experiences. And that's something I will take from here, and I think that's a message for universities and institutions in general.
Specifically, my PhD research is on families of Irish descent who live in the northeast of England. So I look at processes of identity and belonging across the generations.
If I was to ask you, could you point to the Irish person in that group of people? Would anybody be able to do that?
No, because you wouldn't know who's Irish and who's English.
Okay. So identity, maybe, is more than just how a person looks. And that's really the big idea that I want to get across. They go their separate ways. Crocodile goes with a crocodile, and bird goes with a bird. The crocodile would start singing very early in the morning when the sun was rising. We then had bird who was catching a buffalo. We had a problem for crocodile and bird who were growing up now in a way that they weren't supposed to grow up. And bird meets crocodile. "I missed you," said the bird to the crocodile. And the crocodile said, "Me too."
In the end of the story, they basically said, brothers. What they had done together is basically created a whole new sort of family.
I've worked with people who live in the northeast of England, but they identify as Irish. And what's really interesting to me is not to speak to people who were born in Ireland who live here. That's not particularly interesting to me because it's more obvious to have a connection to a particular place because you were born there. What's much more interesting is when those identities are passed down through the generations.
If you were to bump into another group of children tomorrow who were coming along to the Big Ideas event, what advice would you give them?
It's fun being the researcher.
Don't be afraid to give your answer.
We were able to reach 60 kids who got a load of stuff that they wouldn't have got in school and really enjoyed it. And not just the kids either, because if we can do it with the kids, we can do it with anyone.
You learn more about things with fun.
I think, words like simplification or basic, they're quite pejorative, and often it's the much more difficult thing to be able to do. But actually through the simplification, through the story, through the creative inquiry, the levels of understanding were enhanced.
Have a big imagination.
Have a big idea what they could do next.
I let them play with the tablet games. And what happened then, that was, really amazing. I asked them, like, how do you like it? What would you change in this game? And they came up with all different kind of suggestions. And yeah, I took away from some of these suggestions and they are now included in the new version of the game.
I think I might want to be a researcher when I'm older.
There are a load of kids there who A, would never have thought about research, but B, never thought that research was anything relevant to them. And they went away being incredibly enthusiastic, having been able to deal with the ideas that we deal with. I want to do more of that, and I think we as a university should be doing more of that.
I would definitely go to university. Something sciencey.
For these types of projects to be really grounded and for them to be sustainable, I think that recognition has to follow. These engagement activities can't be seen as add-ons to projects. I think they need to be there from the outset.
You've helped shape the next generation of researchers.